of the people.
It's not the question of a brand new constitution. It is an attitudinal change of the people.
There are two sides to every story.
No, there are more than two sides.
Is it the new PDP or the old PDP?
No.
If you look at what happened,
No, you can't.
that your PDP went to come and they challenged on
A community without a common ground will eventually become a battleground.
This is Pastor Chibo, phoning from local government, Enugu State.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Political voices are in my CNN here. I love it, and I love it very much. My name is Polical from Enugu State. Political voices always keeping me busy, always making me happy as I'm on strike as a student.
Political voices, one story, many angles.
Listen, I am telling you that
I don't agree. I don't. No. You can't say that.
Politics. Where is good governance?
Everyone is a political animal.
I don't like politics.
But I love political voices.
On Political Voices, we talk politics. In a country of diverse interests, we get what, when, and how is politics. And this is our business on Political Voices. Nigeria, a country of over 160 million people. Political Voices is gauging the temperature, setting the agenda. Political Voices, exclusively on Drone FM, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Good morning and welcome to Political Voices on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. Political Voices is a session of comments, interviews and analyses of trending political stories as they affect and shape the world around you. Today is Monday. It is the 13th day of July 2020. Our focus on the program today is on anti-corruption fight in Nigeria. Politics or reality? But before we get to this discussion, there are matters arising from the political space. The All Progressives Congress in the Eseado local government area of Ondo State has reportedly expelled the lawmaker from the area, Mr. Success, Toru Kerijo. Toru Kerijo is a member of the State House of Assembly and one of the 9 lawmakers opposed to the impeachment of the State Deputy Governor, Mr. Agbola Ajayi. The development was confirmed by the State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Donald Ojogo, who is also a chieftain of the party in the local government. Moving ahead, the People's Democratic Party has blamed poverty and growing insecurity in Nigeria on the alleged unbridled looting and extortion by a cabal around the president and the ruling All Progressives Congress. The party's position is contained in a statement titled Corruption in Buhari Presidency, APC responsible for poverty in Nigeria. The PDP says treasury looting is APC's manifesto signed by the PDP National Publicity Secretary Kola Ologbondiyan and in Abuja on Sunday. According to the statement, the PDP declared that the alleged unbridled treasury looting and extortion by the cabal in the Buhari presidency and the All Progressives Congress are directly responsible for the excruciating poverty and escalated insecurity being suffered by Nigerians in the last 5 years. And the former Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ike Akporamadu, has expressed sadness and shock over the death of a is mourning the death of a foremost academic and a former provost of the Nigeria Defense Academy and traditional ruler of Ekoli Autonomous Community, an local government area in Enugu State, the late Professor Samson Ukpabi, describing it as the fall of an Iroko. Ecuador, who stated this on his Facebook page after a condolence visit to the widow and family of the deceased royal father, described the incident as a heavy loss, not only to Anambra and Enugu State, but also to the nation as a whole. Describing the late professor as an erudite mind and uncommon leader, the senator recalled the deceased roles in human capital development and excellent record in public service. He went on, of course, to reel out a great deal of things done by the late traditional ruler and scholar. He said that he was one of the arrowheads and founding fathers of the modern Enugu State, as he was in the thick of the struggle for the creation of Enugu State and Anambra local government area, putting his good relationships with the military hierarchies to good use. He said that he described the loss as a personal one, explaining that the late traditional ruler played a key role in laying the foundations for his political career when the elders of Anambra local government approached him to take the responsibility of providing leadership as the pioneer elected chairman of the newly created local government then in 1997. Those are some of the issues around their heads in the political space. And this morning on Political Voices, our focus is on fighting corruption in Nigeria. I should say anti-corruption fight in Nigeria. Politics or reality. Remember, you can watch Political Voices live on our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to the channel at Dream TV Enugu. You just toggle with the hashtag Political Voices. You will see us live. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and you can send us a WhatsApp message on 0902 0020 925, or you can watch on Facebook 925 Dream FM, or on Twitter it is Dream 925 FM. Stay with us. Corruption is something that is recurring in Nigeria, whether you are talking past or present. Corruption has become a recurring decimal in Nigeria's political mathematics. And now the question is, the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria, is it really a real fight, or is it all politics? Well, we'll find out what it's about, because we are joined this morning on Political Voices by Dr. Nnamdi Okenwa. He is a senior lecturer, mass communication, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, ESUT, and he's also a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome to Political Voices. And all right, I'll start, much of fact, by asking Dr. Okenwa what his thoughts are when you see a double-sided question: anti-corruption fight in Nigeria, politics or reality. Has there been over-politicization of the fight, or do you think there is really a fight against corruption in Nigeria?
Yeah, reducing the strength of it, what I call it a fight, is a war. It's a real war that has been raging over a long period. Somebody once told me, he thought he was joking, but it was not a joke. He said that corruption is a Nigerian. And for him to see Nigerians fighting Nigeria, he kept wondering who would win. You're thinking in terms of whether it's mere politics, whether it's reality. I think there's no point doubting whether it has become the basis for politics in Nigeria. Corruption has become the basis for seeking power, for retaining power, for assuming the right to transfer power to whoever you wish to. There is nothing that can be done. So you find that occupying position in Nigeria today is synonymous to being corrupt. Because definitely there must be some budget you are in control, and you determine how it's going to be controlled. And then when you think about policy, I think Adams Oshomole said it all. That if you change from one camp to the other, your sins will be forgiven. It will no longer be a sin. And he got it right. Because whether we think it or not, those who are shouting online, oh, corrupt this, corrupt this, corrupt this. There are many people who are sitting on the seat of judgment that should not be there. There are many who have run into places of refuge so that their names may not be mentioned. There are many names that have been mentioned that suddenly cease to be mentioned. And I begin to think, ask, has the fight really started? But I can tell you, Alex, this new phase of the fight will bring an end to all the fights. Because the port will be opened. Everybody will see who is involved. In fact, it will be difficult to see who is not involved. Anybody who has reared his head in politics one way or the other. I felt worried when I saw the drama between the former MD of NDDC, rattling with the minister. And some talks were trying to beat her up. Stop saying what you're saying, stop saying, so that people will hear it. There are many things we have not heard yet. There are many things we have not seen yet. But we know that the game of corruption, because it's a game, has reached a point where people will start now to ask questions. When the current man who is superintending over corruption and its antecedents was appointed, several charges were raised against him. He was refused confirmation for several times. Yet, the person who set him on didn't want to ask. Alex, when we go through the history of those who have sat on that seat in EFCC, nobody has left there without a controversy. Ribadu was there. The story was not very easy for him. When he left, Lamode entered. It was not easy for Lamode. When Lamode left, what's that her name?
Farida Waziri.
Farida Waziri was there. Even when people questioned whether she was qualified to be there, she was there for some time. Before then, the general of them all came. And the story is not a mild story at all. Now, I won't call it corruption or anti-corruption, just call it corruption. The fight for corruption has just begun. And I pray that this is the fight that will end all the fights. We'll find out who is the David and who is the Goliath in this kind of episode. But I know that I feel happy about this fight because the Pandora box will be opened and everybody will know what the true situation is.
All right, and thank you so much. We're also joined this morning on Political Voices by Dr. Dale Maxwell Ugwai. He is a social commentator and lecturer in the General Studies Division of Enugu State University of Science and Technology. Pardon me, I don't usually, I'm not in the habit of calling it a suit. And I'm sure Dr. Okewa knows why.
I don't even like it.
You're welcome, Dr. Ugwai. I asked Dr. Kenwa the question of whether we are really the fight against corruption is taking place, or is it reality, or is it mere politics? For you, what is it?
Well, it's not a reality, one, and it's a bad politics. It's not a good politics. How do I say, why do I say so? In a country where it's even it's a misnomer to say we are fighting corruption, war against corruption. A system that is responsible for fertilizing corrupt attitude cannot, because when you say stealing, because what we are seeing now is just the end products of corrupt system. That's where you get to the level of looting. People loot the commonwealth of the whole country, then you go after them. Because when Nigerian, I mean, when under this democratic, regime, we were told that fighting corruption is one of the basic, one of the mantras of their campaign. And we realized that fighting corruption is not all about going after people who have looted. Because people that are waiting to loot are tax 10 the people that have looted. A system that is producing people to loot cannot be said to be fighting corruption. The best way to fight corruption, or to make sure that we reduce it, there is no society that is corrupt free. What we have is a level of the levels. Nigerian system is absolutely exists to protect the powerful to the detriment of the ordinary people of Nigeria. Forget what is happening to Magu. Magu is just a distraction. They were through with him and say, look, they are catching their funds. It's their war. They are catching their fund. You look at how Ribadu left EFCC. Look at how Farinda Wazir left EFCC. Look at how Lamode left EFCC. Look at how Magu is leaving EFCC. The same narrative, the same pattern. When they are okay with you, they ship you out of the system. It's not about who has looted or who has not looted, because I believe that fighting corruption or reducing corruption, you have to look at the fundamentals, those things that actually breed corruption. Corruption is like when you steal money, because the last president, the former president Jonathan Goodluck, he said stealing is not corruption. He was misquoted because he didn't actually organize his thoughts. What he meant to say was stealing alone does not constitute corruption. There are a lot of things. Steal money is just the end product. It's a system that protects the powerful against the weak, against the people. We produce looting. A system whereby the law, the system itself becomes weak before the strong, and becomes strong before the weak. We always produce looting. So what we have to do as a country, if we don't want to play politics with it, we want to say, yes, we are ready to move. We have to look at the fundamentals. Look at the quarter nonsense system we are practicing. What can breed corruption more than that? Look at the kind of government we run. Somebody in your neighborhood whose landlord was pursuing him to pay rent. The next thing is a member of House of Rep, is a member of House of Assembly, is a local government chairman, boom, is a millionaire overnight. So how do I preach to you, Alice, to become an honest man? Because the system in Nigeria is even punishing honest and sincere people. It's like the system is so bad that every avenue to make a legitimate improvement on yourself has been blocked by the system. The system is not begging you to go and become a criminal. Those are the things we have to look at. Somebody failed a primary 3. He is asked to repeat primary 3. The parents say, no, he's not repeating. The next week, the child is in primary 5 elsewhere, overtaking those that are good enough to be in primary 4. Then what do you want to preach to that child? And nobody is looking at that system. How flawed. Our system is brutally flawed. And anybody saying I'm fighting corruption without addressing that fundamental is just running in a circle. It's a circus race. It cannot take us anywhere until we begin to look at those issues. How are we going to restructure? Because last presidential debate between Peter Obi and Oshibajo, Peter Obi made a very important statement that you don't close your shop to pursue thieves. You know, But what Peter B didn't say is that they are not even closing the shop. They've opened the shop while they are pursuing thieves. By the time they return to the shop, everything is looted again. Then you begin another race of pursuing. At the end of the day, there will be no shop, there will be no money, and that's where Nigeria is headed.
All right, then thank you for that response, Dr. Nnamdi Okenwa. Dr. Ugwai has actually thrown up a few issues here, and he is pointing towards lack of political will. Do you think there is lack of political will in dealing with corruption, or is there a deliberate attempt to use an organization or institution like EFCC as a tool to maybe intimidate political opponents, or maybe just get things going? Do you get that impression?
Alex, let me begin this way. We are a nation where people don't do their homework. You find that when you have somebody in mind for appointment, there are perceptions about that person. There are those who know him. There are places you go to consult. This kind of person, can he, what was he doing before? In his place of work, what was his record like? Let us see his file. Nobody bothers about that. And now, the question I keep bothering each time, must we draw the leader of the EFCC from the police? Are we drawing it from the police because they have a wonderful, wonderful record? Wonderful record. In fact, if you talk about corruption in Nigeria, the first institution that anybody will refer to will be the police.
Yeah, exactly.
And that will be where we will draw the person. So it means that even before we started, we had already failed. So that is the problem. There's a very, very serious problem. So you find that until you begin to think, are we really going to fight corruption? Ubabi Asika during his days said that the problem we have in Nigeria is who will guard the guard? Who will guard the guard? Now the person appointing the person to fight corruption, who is he? What does he intend to gain? Is there some sincerity about appointments? Are there definite assignments given to the person? Is it a weapon, or is it an institution designed to gag a lot of people? Is it a situation where you eliminate opposition of any kind so that there will be free way to do anything you like? And that's the pattern we're seeing. And what makes it complicated is that we have EFCC, we have ICPC, we have the police, we have courts.
ECB.
There is this other one that was appointed, that was drawn from EFCC. Good. They went to raid to remove information that would have been vital to anything. Alex, let me tell you one thing. This station will be agog with the discussions about corruption in the weeks ahead, because you will still start hearing names. It's not by hearing about Vice President or hearing about Falana. There are new things are coming.
Malami
is if what I read about Malami this morning, yeah, where a man begin to point at somebody, he's pointing one hand, the other hand, the other fingers are up to him. Malami is a Nigerian. Oh, no doubt about that. Nobody can tell me that, oh, he doesn't know about anything. There are cases he withdrew from court. There are cases he denied the FCC from touching.
Yes.
He removed files from EFCC. And there must be a purpose for all this. So we find out, I do believe that there is no sincere effort to fight corruption.
If there's any effort.
If there is any effort. I use the word sincere.
Dr. Gwai, do you think there is what one would call a clash of interests on one hand and an implosion of interests on the other?
Both. It's like asking a lion to take charge of flock and expect the lion to become a vegetarian overnight. It's absolutely impossible. Because when you ask lion or wolf or leopard to take charge of the flock, you know what it means. Just as Dr. Kema said about police being asked to fight corruption, and you expect them to be, you expect a leopard to be a vegetarian overnight, so you won't touch meat. That is contradiction. Now, Nigeria's system has existed absolutely to protect the powerful. Nigerian people don't matter in their equation. They don't matter in their calculation. And what worries me most times that we, the people of Nigeria, help fight their fight. See, this thing happen, you know, it's a distraction. In the next 2 weeks, they will give us another thing that will occupy our mind. You are on borrowed data, abusing Oshomole against Obaseki, abusing Obaseki against Oshomole. But the children of Oshomole, you can never see them abuse the children of Obaseki. They are there in London, they are there in US, relaxing, enjoying themselves. You see the children of Atiku and children of Buhari enjoy. You have never seen them abuse themselves because they are being prepared to take over from their parents. But we, the masses, we, the people, we help them amplify their fight. We are on the abacha joint where we manage to eat abacha 50 naira. And we are saying, how does that concern the price of abacha you are eating? Because we amplify their own interest. What is the major interest of these people? The major interest is to continue to loot Nigeria, to continue to put Nigerian down. All these things you are seeing, they are just distraction. Last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it was Obaseki and Oshiomhole. All of us were clapping. Now, that one is gone. After Amagun now, this corruption is, maybe the next 2 weeks, we will go to Ondo State. Akeredolu is this, before you know it, that is the dialectic by which Nigeria is being governed. Nobody is interested in we have got to a level whereby a megad, it doesn't trust public school. Where do you see functioning public school from primary to secondary to tertiary? You don't see anything like that. Dr. Igom was a university teacher. Without that fund, Alex, a professor will not even have a table. If you depend on the proper government, federal government or state government. Most state governments now, they establish university with one house, one building, and ask the person to go to third fund and source for money. Go around Nigeria. And nobody is talking about that. Why? Because they have not, their children are not in the system. Do you know why nobody is talking of opening school in Nigeria? Because the people that are responsible for the decision, their children are still not going to school in US. Their children are still at home in UK. And they will see it as imbalance. So my children will be at home in US and your children will be going to school. No. We are waiting on UK. We are waiting on US to open. If not the US and UK opens, then we will open here. And that nobody is talking of safety. It's not about nobody's want to die. They are not deciding who is dying of COVID or who is not dying of COVID. So it's a clash of interest. It's everything but interest of the powerful, which has continued to keep Nigeria down. And there's nothing we can do. And the only thing we can do as a country is to pick our own fights. As a people of this country, as a people of Nigeria, to fight our own fight. But the more we help them to fight their own fight, Obaseki and Oshiomhole, we are hitting our head here. Magu and Malami. Who tells you that Magu is more important, you are more important to Magu than Malami? In the next 2-3 years, you will see all of them dining and eating. 2006, Obaseki and Oshiomhole. 2020, Oshiomhole and Izeyamu. 2024, they will come together again. Whereas you will still be in your one room at Tabakpa, or you will still be in your one room at Obiagu. So we have to pick our fight. We shouldn't allow this unnecessary distraction to keep us down.
All right, then. Just very quickly, I'd like to ask you, Dr. Kama, he has raised another issue. He talked about agreeing to the fact that there is a clash of interest and there is also implosion of policies of government in the fight against corruption. What then is the way to go if we are looking at it from the angle, okay, they are not fighting corruption? What has been the fight? You say, okay, there is no, it's supposed to be a war. Is that war really happening, or is it what one would say, is it more like an animated movie? Is it something for children?
Alex, I know you like cartoon a lot. But we've got into a situation where we'll be talking about real life. I will call Nigeria a cartoon country. I'm telling you, because every terrible cartoon. Everything about us is a joke. When we start something, Alex, you will know that it will fail, but it will still go on. When somebody is called up, you will know that that person will not be a performer, yet he will be settled there. And at the end of the day, you say, I said it. It doesn't mean anything whether you say it or not. So we've gone to a situation where if there's some kind of thought about bringing somebody, I mentioned the word perception. How do people around him perceive? Is he from Obosi? Who knows him in Obosi? What has he been doing there? Then people can air their views about him. If he's from Udi, they walk out. See, people know their people, but nobody consults you because you have already worked out for yourself what I want this man to achieve for me. And I set the goal for him. Go and do this. When I'm done with you, I kick you into the dustbin and bring another person who will serve the purpose, like Alex said, like my brother said. So you find that one thing we need to know in this country is that by the time we get ready, the people, like my brother said, the people will be involved. This idea of handpicking, honestly, why we are the way that we are is that if anybody thinks, at times I hear people say, oh, we have been in 20 years of democracy. Democracy where? There has been no democracy in this country. There has been no democracy.
It's just civilian. People change. It's no longer military uniform.
When we talk about, he talked about zoning. He didn't talk about federal character. Alex, when we talk about corruption, corruption is not just money. Corruption is not just money. When things are done unfairly, when merit is no longer the criterion, when things are not done the way they should be done, when some people are marginalized, and some people who don't have merit on their side at all are glorified,
and elevated,
that is a corrupt state. So you find that what we are doing now, I'm not sure that what we are doing now is rejigging so that we can come up with something good. No. When you finish Act 1 in 1, you enter into Act 1 in 2. That's what we are going. All right.
That's a point.
Okay.
That's a point.
Dr. Gwai.
This EFCC you are talking about, you ask yourself, what is the recruitment process like? Who recruit who into EFCC? I have a very personal experience. My cousin applied. He scaled through in Enugu. She scaled through in Enugu. She scaled through in Port Harcourt. He was shortlisted, sent a text message, sent an email to report to Kaduna for the training. Her mother took her overnight to Kaduna. On getting to the gate, he showed them. They showed them the text and the mail. They said, well, they went to and brought their own list. Lo and behold, the child, the girl names, the lady's name was not there. They said, this Senator Otas was the chairman of corruption. Corruption, anti-corruption. Then we tried to reach him, but he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. Somebody that, how do you even recruit people into that system that you want to fight corruption? And the system itself is corruption personified. Because by the time the politicians will be the one to nominate people to go into that field, every AFCC person official will protect the person that brought him or her in. And at the end of the day, the whole thing will be messed up. So for me, I don't even believe that. Have you gone to EFCC bid in Abuja? The day I saw it, on their name, I fighting corruption. No, it doesn't make sense. Why you spend almost 30 billion naira to build? You spent, you have recovered 300, 500. We don't even know the amount they have recovered because they banned a lot of figures. Now, how do we? It's not even transparent. We don't even know the amount. We don't even know anything about the operation, and you are fighting corruption.
All right. You talked about the building. I recall Senator Chubo Kadibo when asked about the furniture allowance, and he said they've come to Abuja to eradicate poverty, not to spread it. So this is Political Voices on 92.5 Enugu's Dream FM. This morning we are taking a look at the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria, politics or reality. In the studio this morning is Dr. Nnamdi Okenwa. He is a senior lecturer in mass communication in Enugu State University of Science and Technology. We also have Dr. Dele Maxwell Ugwai here. He is also a lecturer in General Studies Division in Enugu State University of Science and Technology. This conversation is getting interesting, and that's why we will let those of you watching and listening to us from outside the studio to be part of this conversation. I'll start by taking one or two messages from Facebook. 925 Dream FM. Aristotle Plato says, good morning, Dream FM. The anti-corruption fight in Nigeria lacks honesty, sincerity, truth, and it is almost always one-sided, gears towards witch-hunting some political opponents. Until we tell ourselves the bitter truth, corruption will still be eating deep into the faulty foundation in which Nigeria was built. You said you love Dream FM, and we love you right back. Arthur Eku Theophilus Chike says, good morning, Sir Alex. Anti-corruption is purely a political activity in this country. Before now, they had missions and objectives, but has been politicized to hunt down opposition. And Jude Rankin, also on Facebook, says, please, schools should resume. Social distance will be maintained. The government should please look into it. People's year of graduation are being prolonged. All right. That's his concern, I guess. But we are not speaking to our topic. Because when we ignore the messages now, you start complaining. Engineer Ugu Onyedikachi says, good morning, Dream FM. Anti-corruption in Nigeria have been known to be politically influenced. Any sinner that decomes to a ruling party automatically becomes a saint. And, Paul Okbara says, good morning, Alex and the guests. He that goes to equity goes with clean hands. However, the present federal government are not fighting corruption, but has institutionalized corruption. They use EFCC and agencies to witch hunt perceived political opponents. Ifeanyi Jung Paul says the anti-corruption campaigns of this current administration has been more political than real, a sham, power tussling and wrangling, nothing real about it. And Comrade Jeremiah Okore says fight against corruption in Nigeria has been a tool for political vendetta. It started from OBJ down to other past and present leaders. Ovuna Dickland says corruption in Nigeria is more of politics than reality, and he is of the opinion that the agencies fighting corruption should be granted full independence and also strengthen them by creating a special monitoring unit and court for quick trial of the culprits. And Maxwell Evaristus Ekene says that his take is that anti-corruption fight in Nigeria by this present government is pure politics. And it goes on and on. Lots of messages. I can't take on all of them. We'll check out the phone lines now. 09020, I should say 200-20925 and 0809-8888-925. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
What's the name and location?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
My name is Yiken. I'm calling from Obunka in the South.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the analyst in the studio. You guys have done justice to the topic of the day. But I want to say, fighting corruption in Nigeria, these people think that they don't have sense. But we are watching them. They are fighting corruption. Before you know it, like one of the analysts said, before 2 weeks to come now, they will say another thing that will distract us from this one. We keep on watching them. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you so much for your call. Call us on 0809-8888-925 or 0902-0020-925. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's the name and location?
Hello, this is Lagos from Ete.
You're welcome.
The two doctors, a very good morning to you. You see, Alex, I must tell you that EFCC, as an establishment of the government to fight corruption, is an advanced fraud in operation. You see, every successive government that will go will remove EFCC's chairman. You understand last week, somebody,
one of the honorable former members of the House of Assembly to do that. The application, the act that is guiding the NCC does not permit acting capacity of a particular chairman of EFCC. Okay, you appointed a chairman on the acting capacity which you are not permitted by the act to do so. You are removing him through a raw process also. Okay, if you go to court, everything is a nullity. Okay, now, what message is our leadership preaching? They are preaching that, okay, we will come and recover some looted funds from the previous administration, and while we go, we'll go with our own. Another administration will come and go after them.
Linus, we need to accommodate other people. Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. 0809888925 or 090200200925. All right. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, what's your name and location?
My name is Simon Gideon, calling from Kudisi.
You're welcome.
So one of the things you know is that fighting corruption is that the amount of corruption, that is the trigger of corruption, is stronger than the other.
I am fighting to get a hang of what you're saying. Let's take one or two more messages from Facebook. We have messages here from Maxwell Evaristo Sekene. It says, anti-corruption fight in Nigeria by this government is pure politics. I've taken this before. Don Top Sokonko says, I think that the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria by the current administration is a game of politics. Despite the billions of dollars that were discovered from looters, we still hear from our government borrowing money every day. And Uchenna Melody Abugu says that his area of concern is that the foundation of fighting corruption is poorly constructed. It is now fighting back on us. And Ejimbe Sonny Bernard says anti-corruption fight is a political tool in the hands of the ruling party to suppress or subdue their perceived political opponents. And Ugu Ukemeka says there is no corruption in Nigeria. What there is in Nigeria is economic hegemony of the North over the South. Okay, tell me why a Southerner is arrested over stealing, but a Northerner is left free, except in situation where they want to dramatize, like Magu's storyline. All right. And another one, Agozie Blessed Uzigwe says, I can say that fighting corruption in Nigeria with this present administration is more political than real. And Chineke Kajetan says, corruption in Nigeria has reached an all-time high. The country's social, economic, and cultural spheres are full of it. Okay. And Mado Kamako says, good morning, Alex, and guest in the studio. His submission about the whole EFCC fight against all fraud. Corruption can't fight corruption. We'll take one more call and come back to the studio.
Yes, hello. Good morning.
What's the name and location?
Yes, this is Chukwemeka calling from Enugu.
You're welcome.
Yes, good morning to the guests in the studio.
Good morning.
Yes, fight on corruption actually is not totally flawed as it is. Maybe they are making progress on fighting these Yahoo boys, yes, but on the political end, they are not making any progress on that. And this comes to be to a respect of what Dr. Guanyi says, which says that it's a system that truly a system that is strong against the weak and weak against the strong produces corruption. So it is incumbent on the government to see that the law, at the hammer, in as much as it goes to the point, the society who has violated it should also go on the reach. And you can also see the law whereby the NBC code is something that even they used to move us. We do not talk, we do not express ourselves. That NBC code is totally authoritarian to me and it's undemocratic. I don't think it can survive in America. You cannot bring in Nigerian NBC code to function in America. And also, if you want to protest, that section 33 of the Nigerian Constitution, you come to protest, they will kill you and call it a riot, and they protect themselves under the Nigerian Constitution, and the court will uphold it. It does not augur well with us. The law should be on the poor as well as the rich, the weak as well as the strong. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your thoughts on the program. Let's come back and talk with our guests here. Dr. Namjo Kenwa, you've heard it's a mixed bag, especially the last caller came in from a different angle. of which, drawing from his perception, he made mention of something. I'm not sure we have actually captured it in our discussion here. He's saying that there seemed to be progress in catching up with Yahoo boys, but there isn't a lot of progress in catching up with the political thieves. Dr. Namdi Okenwa.
I think his mention about Yahoo boys is a distraction.
Exactly. Because the system will continue to produce more sophisticated Yahoo boys.
Yahoo boys are not the enemies of Nigeria.
They are frustrated people who want to
We're
work.
talking about the enemies of Nigeria. Those who corrupt our commonwealth and deal with it anyhow. Yahoo boys are generous guys who go around the world collecting guys from those who are not smart enough. That's the truth. They are not a threat to the economy of Nigeria. No doubt about that. Our main focus this morning, Alex, is on Nigeria and how corruption has affected us. Leave Yahoo boys alone on their own. Let us not let it for another day. But for today, the politicians are there. Those in office. Now, why do we need to have several corruption fighting agencies? Why? Duplicating functions.
Yes.
The police is there. And the police itself has broken into several wings. This one special wing of the IG. This one this one SARS. This one federal SARS. This one. No. This is another way of confusing us so that the game goes on. And once this is going on, it renders the judiciary impotent. What do they do there? What do they do there for? So you find that the judiciary has not complained that their jobs have been usurped. That is the truth. And we have lived in a country where the charge of corruption fell strongly on the judiciary. They couldn't defend themselves because whether we like it or not, they were first Nigerians before they became members of the judiciary. So whatever thing that we're guilty of, they're equally guilty of. But Alex, what we're trying to do is, are we going to find a way out? One, there is no need for the large number of organizations purporting to be fighting corruption. Two, we need to devise a good mechanism of picking who. The idea of the president picks and this will confirm is not enough. Again, I mention the word perception. We must get a clear perception of the person from the cradle. Those who know him, Nigerians like talking, especially when in divorce appointment. But except when they, but now you just hear you announce that this person has been appointed.
And that's all.
What? Nobody. Who was Magu before we heard about him? Nobody was there. Nobody. He had nothing to show when he came on board. But one thing is clear, he came with a definite assignment. But in doing his job, he found out it was a wonderful job. And that he would be stupid not to realize that there should be a time when he will leave his job. There should be time to save for a rainy day. And that's what he's been doing. So you find that there's no situation in this country where a policeman will come to a scene of accident, where people were killed and money was found. And they say, oh, we found 25 billion, and they bring it back. When they bring back 25 billion, then be sure that they saw 100 billion. That's the level we have reached. I was discussing with a customer of mine yesterday. We've reached a point in this country, Alex, where people are clamoring, plenty of unemployment, plenty of unemployment. You go, they interview you, and you come to start the job. I say, my friend, for 6 months, don't look for pay. Don't look for pay for 6 months, okay? If you want the job, you will agree. After 6 months, they start paying you. You have no point to complain. Or those who don't want it for that extension, give me this amount. We've reached that level. So when we start talking about corruption, corruption has gotten deep in every social life of our Nigerians, economic life of Nigerians, political life of Nigerians. Religious life is everywhere.
Okay.
Is everywhere.
Okay.
So I think that except we begin to think about it. It's not talking about it, sitting down and doing something. It's not the government that will decide about corruption. It's not the House of Assembly that will decide about corruption. Alex, I can suggest ways, several ways. You have seen corruption in several avenues. And so when you're expected to give some input, you can bring up something. One, we know that corruption has kept us marking time in Nigeria. This is time for us to do something.
All right, then. Just a quick one before I come to you, Dr. Gwani. Bami Manolifai on Facebook says, good morning, Alex, and the guest in the studio. Fighting corruption in Nigeria is a fraud. From January 1966 till present, hungry power seekers always claim to be fighting corruption. Dr. Gwani, is this purely an instrument of politics for whatever government that comes to power, or is it something we can deal with, and how can we deal with it?
Well, it has always been a political slogan, because they know that average Nigerian is a victim of corrupt system, and for them to win election or to do anything, they will say we are going to fight corruption, and with that proper understanding of what they mean, we help them. Okay, it's going to fight corruption so that we can live a normal life. That has been the political slogan. We have been, saying it. Now, Obasanjo that is said corruption. How corrupt-free is he? Is he a corrupt-free person? Go to presidential library. He asks all the governors to donate a certain amount of money to build presidential library. He is on the farm. When he came out in 1998, we understand that he had 20,000 naira in his entire bank account. By the time he was living in 2007, he was among the richest. But the same person instituted the EFCC, ICPC to fight corruption. Quickly, let me go to the issue of Yahoo people. Yahoo people are frustrated. These people are fighting back. When you train someone in computer engineering, computer science, 5 good years, the person comes out, no job. Where do you expect that person to apply that knowledge? You don't take care of them. They have to sort out, they have to survive. Those people, EFCC will arrest a Yahoo person. Within 4 or 5 months, he's already sentenced, he's jailed. But corrupt cases of politicians, 12 years since 2007, they are still there. 31 governors were charged to court at the end of 2007. As we speak, 13 years down the line,
they are sitting in Senate.
They are, most of them are in Senate, most of them are in this, most of them are ministers. 13 years. So how do you not begin to explain to somebody who is a Yahoo boy that Yahoo is bad? Go to churches today. 95% of them, I may not be sure of the statistic anyway. They've even abandoned the real issue of making heaven. If you are a pastor today and you are preaching heaven and sin, only you and your wife and children will be in that church. Because they've abandoned everything. Let's go and make money. You go to church, they say, Onye Cholu, Visa America, Visa Malaysia, Visa Indonesia. Puta, they will pray for you to get a visa, to go and make money and bring. And these are some of the systems, some of the things that are inherent in our system that are breeding corruption. So we need to begin to look at issues, those things that are actually making people not to be comfortable with their system. You go to an organization, if you are the only sincere person, you'll be the odd person out. If you are not ready to play ball, you'll be the odd person out. So we should begin to see things from proper perspective. We say, look, don't distract us enough. We have distracted us enough. This EFCC, ICPC. Now you go to bank to withdraw 300,000. They will say, write your BVN here, write your BVN in the front, write your BVN in the back, write your BVN. But are you telling me those that are stealing billions, they don't have BVN? How do you track them? The kidnappers, you pay money. How do you, if you withdraw money, can't they trace these things?
All right.
But They've refused to do it because that's why I raised the issue of recruitment process into FCC.
Okay.
Everybody, if you want to get employment now into a music, the first step is hey God, the way bound. Hey God, the way bound. Any money. They are not interested in the salary we are going to be paid. You are in EFC, you are anywhere the same salary structure, but where you have to get an avenue where you make extra money. So that's where the BVN.
All right, then.
Alex,
let me quickly.
Just a minute.
You will say that, but I need to ask this question so you consider them both.
Okay.
The issue of sacred cows in the fight against corruption seem to be the main smear in the whole corruption fight. Talk to us about how this scapegoatism has affected the fight or the war against corruption.
It's a selective fight, Al. It's a selective fight, right? You earlier talked about the various governments and regimes coming out with the seriousness of fighting corruption.
Yeah.
Let me make it simple. It's a ploy to buy credibility. It's a mere ploy to buy credibility because nobody has been fighting corruption.
No.
Let's get it clear. Nobody. If we started fighting corruption long ago, no matter how Goliath he's been, he would have fallen. He would have cut off his head. Nobody has been fighting corruption, right? You talk about it so that people will see you like a saint. You have more followers. Then when they see how you started with this fight, they leave you alone, and then you gather all you can gather. And when you're free, you find a way of jumping off. So, like, you see, Alex, let's get it very clear. This fight has only just begun. It has only just begun. This very one will be the stiffest of it, because a number of storms will come out of it.
All right.
And then we'll know what we're doing.
And people should be bold enough to begin to mention them.
Okay.
See what happened at the NDDC. Nigeria don't develop criminals. NDDC.
That will be a matter for another day.
So people, Juma was talking, but there was everybody. Let us begin to talk so that the idea of
the
sacred cow.
NDDC issue will be a different topic altogether. my producer has just stopped laughing. Special thanks to you, Dr. Namdi Okao, Senior Lecturer, Mass Communication, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, and Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you for your time. Dr. Bello Maxwell Ugwai, Social Commentator and Lecturer in the General Division of Enugu State University of Science and Technology.
General Studies, not General Division.
General Studies Division. General Studies Division. I'm sorry about that. All right. Thank you so much for your insight as always on the program. And Lieutenant Okiroke has been the production assistant. My producer has been Oke Odogu. My name is Alex Obodo. Stay tuned for the Dream FM News at 10.
Gịnị ka ị nwere ikwu? Onye ọka iwu agwakwara nwaanyị ahụ oge m butere ya